start has been impressive. And I'm sure Jags fans think every day about how they had the opportunity to have this cat on their team and absolutely fumbled it. But I'll tell you this, Aidan Hutchinson, he is right now one of the most dominant defensive players in the league. Now, there's guys you would put in that class with him. I mean, we always say, like, our defensive player of the year, we still predict and still believe it's going to be TJ Watt. But the fact that Aidan is even in that class right now of, like, productive edge rushers or productive pass rushers is special. I mean, he's in his third year. Look at the guys in his class right now. Kayvon Thibodeau, who was MIA. Giants fans have been looking for him the last couple of games, and he just popped up out of nowhere against the Cowboys and made a couple plays. Like, completely MIA this season. That's what I hear all from Giants fans. Trayvon Walker, where is he? Where is he? I don't know where he is. And I don't hear his name. I don't hear him posted. I don't hear him raved about. Those are the two guys that were taken right with Hutch. Those are the guys that were in that conversation. So to look back at that draft class, the fact that Aidan even fell to 2 is just, it does not make sense at all. Like, this dude is special. And the fact that this year you're seeing, because remember when he first got into the league, it was like, his bag of pass rush moves, not very deep. His bag this, bag that. Now he's hitting guys he has the spin move, and you could see it like Baldy just breaking down what he can do against these tackles. Like Paris Johnson, very good tackle, made him look like an idiot just there, and even though he's facing right tackles. So even if you want to bring up, well, he's going against backup tackles, he just made Paris Johnson look like a complete idiot. Now, I said this to Booner, I'm excited for him to get against these top tackle matchups where you get to see great on great. You're seeing it with wide receivers and corners, and I think it's centers and defensive tackles. Like, once you see Aidan start excelling in those matchups, and it's not his fault. I mean, he just hasn't had too many opportunities, and he will. Then you're going to look at him in a whole different light. Like, okay, this guy now is one of the best. Doesn't matter who he's facing. So and that's something that you look at with other guys. Like, it didn't matter who JJ Watt was up against. It didn't matter who TJ Watt is up against. I think Aidan's like ascending to that point. So he's still got a lot of room to grow, even though he's leading the league in sacks. But that's a special man right there. I'll tell you that. And in his draft class, all those other edge rushers, even if Trayvon had double-digit sacks last year, it doesn't. The player he is, the motor, he's playing every snap, just different. And he has more interceptions than all those guys combined, which is wild. So, yeah, special player.
Listen, with the whole Hutch thing, it was all it's been, and I think a lot of people, at least like most people, knew what his talent was. Like, you knew what it was coming out of college, and like the Jags to pass on Aidan Hutchinson and leave him for the Detroit Lions, the hometown team, and everything. Like, it's unbelievable. First of all, that happened. But this is a guy who's for the rest of his career, for the next 4 or 5 years, 6 years, 7 years, he is going to be on that level to where every year you go in saying, yep, he can go win a Defensive Player of the Year award every single year after year after year. Like, if he gets one done this year over TJ Watt, guys, he's going to be a multiple-time Defensive Player of the Year award winner. Like, this is what, year 3 for him? Year 4? I think it's year 3, right? I want to make sure I'm right.
Yes, year 3.
So, like, he's already in year 3, and he's already one of the front runners for Defensive Player of the Year. And he hasn't even cracked, like Dan Campbell coming out a couple weeks ago and being like, he hasn't even cracked his potential yet. Like, he still has a whole nother level to tap into. Like, that's what's crazy to me, is Hutch is on that level. Do you guys remember the longest where people are like, he just has a spin move? Or was it just a spin move that he had? I think that was all people
he had one move.
And that was it. And now you look at like a Baldy breakdown, you're in the fourth quarter there, and he gets a sack, and he hits a spin move, and Baldy's like, this is the first spin move he's hit all game. Like, this guy has so many moves now, and his bag is so deep now to where he doesn't even have to use his one-trick pony of a move all game long. He doesn't have to. Like, he's that good at his job. And he's literally, guys, he's one of the best in the league. We've had the conversation all offseason long. That, like, is Hutch going to get into that tier 1 of edge rushers? I know it's only through 4 weeks or 3 weeks right now, but I think it's fair to say when he's healthy and he's out there and he's at his best, he is now in the tier 1 of pass rushers. Like there's no question behind it. He has passed up all of these other people. He has gone past the Josh Allens, the Trey Hendrickson. If you're building a team right now and you're like, hey, who do I want? Give me Aidan Hutchinson. And I think everyone knows that now. And he has finally like showed the world his moves and what he's about and how all this hard work is paying off. And the Lions have him for – I hope he's in Detroit Lions uniform forever. I hope he retires a Detroit Lion because he's going to be an absolute menace in his career for the next 4, 5, 6, 7 years.
What's going on, guys? It's Jeff Iafrate. I interrupted today's video to tell you about the sponsor of today's video, and that is BetUS. And they are offering the Crunch Time Sports community 150% on your guys' first 3 deposits with promo code YouTube150. Promo code YouTube150. Head to betus.com. They have a ton of lines that you can get in on now. Like this one that I really do like a lot. Aidan Hutchinson, 2-win Defensive Player of the Year. He comes in with the 6th best odds at plus 1,100. I'm going to go ahead and put $100 to win $1,100 and lock it in. There you go. And not just this. There's a ton of other lines, Detroit Lions related, and go check them out only on BetUS. Let's get back to the video. I want to
the Micah thing too. Yeah,
he went down. That's one more candidate. I'm telling you, Booner.
Micah was never a candidate. I was never worried about.
Well, that's Micah a guy, one of the best. That's like the class.
That's in that tier.
Yeah, he's in there. So he's out for a couple weeks. Like even if he
Max
went on
Crosby's out this week.
Yeah, it's gonna hurt him for sure. And by the way, we'll get to that later. But Cowboys are out 2 potential edge rushers. We'll get to that another time.
For the week we play them, which is crazy. It is crazy. Like when after this Monday game where we have a full week of a bye week. Like I can't believe that's already coming up. I do like the Micah thing. I think right now the Defensive Player of the Year award, and it's going to be this the whole year. It's literally just DJ Watt and Aidan Hutchinson. Like that's the award. And I don't know unless there's knock on wood, like if TJ Watt or someone gets injured, like it's those two and it's theirs to lose.
Maybe
and they're
Fred
just going
to possibly because that
I don't. Yeah,
you're thinking of like candidates, like guys that could be in the top 5.
Who?
Fred Warner, because he's having a hell of a season.
I'm saying, there's I don't know. I think that's just like
I think Hutch is above him. I'm just saying, like if Fred Warner were to have a monster week, like I could see him going up like to like
those are the only candidates, probably I would say.
Yeah,
like,
I mean, I still think like I think that's like a good way to be like they're but I'm not saying just like who can win it. I'm saying these 2 guys are going to take it and they're running with it and no one's catching them. Like it's like at the end of the year it's either going to be TJ Watt or Aidan Hutchinson. That's it. There's no one else that's going to be close. I'm just saying what it is. Like if you look at the odds, like it's just Aidan Hutchinson or TJ Watt and Aidan Hutchinson and that's it. And then the rest are all dropped off. Like let me pull it up. Let's pull it up real quick.
I mean, do you shout out to Brian Nemhauser who joined yesterday, the Seahawks credentialed journalist. He mentioned something that we've never really talked about too much, and maybe we could talk about it now because it relates to this. It was interesting to get his perspective as a guy who covers the sea, like no bias, like just looking at the Lions. And I know some people didn't like what he had to say. I get that, but he said Aidan having 6.5 sacks. And the significant drop off to the next player, he said, is kind of concerning. Like if he was looking at it from a Lions fan's perspective, I guess for me, it's if you watch the first couple of games, even though Aidan has more sacks by far than anyone else. Number one, that's a good thing because Aidan's just that dominant. But number 2, when you watch these games, it's not like it's just Aidan getting there. It's multiple guys getting there, but Aidan getting the sack. Like I think you need context in that argument when you just see the stats and you're like, well, Aidan has 6.5 and the next guy has a half a sack or whatever. Yeah. When you watch these games, like Aidan had sacks against the Bucs, all the sacks he had. Levi was there on one, he got a half a sack, but Levi was there on another. Aleem was there close on another. Davenport didn't play, but they had other guys involved that were close. So that's why I wanted to add some of that context. But what do you guys make of that comment? Like Aidan's he's like 6.5, and then there's a significant drop off. Like there's concern there.
Yeah, I think with the depth it's tough. Like I think that's obvious. Like the Levi always been kind of a productive guy. Maybe not the sacks wise. Like Aleem McNeil, we talked about him getting 7 and 8 this year. He hasn't even gotten a sack yet, or even a half a sack. James Houston hasn't contributed. He's played in 1 game. Josh Pascal, like there really hasn't been any other guys. I will say, I think there's a little difference with like the production when it comes to sacks, and then as well as like with the pressures and like, hey, if you're watching the game, how does it feel like they're doing up against the quarterback? Because I personally, I don't know where you guys or is the people in the chat, like whoever's listening right now, how you felt about the pass rush versus Kyler Murray. I did think they were good. Like I thought the pass rush looked good. Whether they didn't get a ton of sacks or not, I think you can still be effective and affect the game in a very, very positive way without the stat sheet showing that. Do you guys see what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah,
I do think guys need to step up, but
statistically, who gives a fuck? If you're looking at them and you're looking at how this defensive line's playing, especially against the run, like I don't think you can even question it right now. The best run defense in the NFL. So defensive line, check. Getting after the quarterback. Like, yeah, they might not be putting as many sacks as people might be looking when you talk about like statistically ranking among the rest of the NFL. But if you just watch this defensive line, quarterbacks are not just sitting in the pocket all day like they used to be. Like even guys like Kyler Murray, who he would last year against that defense, Kyler Murray, if he was playing how he was against that game, would have lit that defense up. Kyler Murray was uncomfortable the whole game, and they're making quarterbacks play one-dimensional and just check downs. So, yeah, they're not going to be getting as much sacks when they're just taking short little gains and not holding onto the ball as long. So this defense right now is playing fine. Who cares what the stats say?